Girthy.
Nice to be here, lads.
Zak Zidane Girthy.
Yeah, you got that one smooth.
I got it.
You got it smooth.
Come on, I got it.
I love it.
So dubbed as Stevenage's next wonder kid.
Yeah.
Played in 3 different countries.
Yeah.
He works with big companies such as the LFE, the Premier League. He's been on one of the biggest TV shows
Yeah, something
in,
like that.
in the United Kingdom.
Yeah,
Bro.
you're talking me up well here.
So what does football mean to you
I
at
think-
this point in time?
Yeah. I think before we get started, I just want to say, beyond football, the title of this podcast is something that means a lot to me. Especially the transition I've been going through in life the last couple of years, but definitely what I feel my passion is now. I say to people, like, growing up, and probably I'm 25 now, probably up until the age of 21, 22, I thought I was put on this earth to play football. But I look back now, I wasn't. I was put on this earth to go through this mad journey I've been through, to now use my story to create change for the next generation. So beyond football, like, fair play to you both for putting this together, because it's something that means a lot to me, and I think it's something that doesn't get spoken about enough. So it's nice to see people have gotten to the topic and are pushing it out there. So well done to the both of you.
No, it's top.
But your question was what? Sorry, I lost you. What does football mean to me?
Yeah, what does football at this point in time?
Oh, again, it changes year by year, because right now I'm a manager. I'm managing a Step 5 team. Assistant manager, sorry. The gaffer will be watching me. Assistant manager, a Step 5 team. So for me now, football is different to what it was to me a couple of years ago. Much different to what it was 5 years ago. Even probably different to what it was 10 years ago. But for me, football's always been an escape.
Wow.
An escape from a place where, I don't know, I only think if you play sport, not even just football, if you play sport, you can relate. But when I'm playing football, it's like I'm hypnotized. Is that the word?
Yeah.
Like you're in a trance.
In a trance, yeah.
When I'm managing, I'm in a trance. Now when I'm coaching, I'm in a trance. And when I knew it was time for me to call it a day is when I was playing football, and I wasn't in that no more.
Wow.
And I was more in a frustrated place than that place of happiness and calmness, if you know what I mean, which led to me going on a journey I'm going on now.
Yeah. No, it's interesting. Like, so would you say football was that safer space?
Yeah.
For you?
Football was a safer space, but now looking back, I know what, as a human, and again beyond football, looking back now, I'm coming out of football playing, I know what a human I require, if you know what I mean, what gets me going, and I think looking back, possibly the feeling of wanting to impress people, and the feeling of growing up in a council estate in Edmonton where, not many people made it out, and I was the one that was playing football. The feeling of my family, kind of what was their expectation for me if it wasn't for football. It was only football. And like you say, my middle name being Zidane, from birth, that was the plan for me.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that gave me, I didn't look at it as pressure as a kid, but looking back now, I did. And football, I loved the feeling of impressing people. I loved the feeling of being the best.
Tell.
Yeah. But yeah. But it still follows me now. That's what I'm saying.
good.
That's what I say beyond football. I love that feeling of, like, being the best player. And when I wasn't that, it got me down, man. And looking back now, they're the moments that I didn't deal with well enough, because from 13 to kind of 16, 17, it was plain sailing, if that's the right analogy I'm looking for. Because from the age of 13, I was playing youth team football. Wow. So I was kind of thinking, genuinely at that time, I was going to be the next best thing. But I was naive. I didn't know what was going to slap me in the face, and then I'm sure
How can you know?
You don't. And could people have guided me better? I remember being under 14 and having agents calling my phone.
Seriously?
From the age of 14, 15.
Wow.
And now knowing that's not even legal. But me thinking, Mum, this agent just called me. Yeah. And my mum not knowing really what that is. But us thinking that, oh my God, like, yeah, that must mean you're doing something right. Yeah. But then looking back now, what are you doing calling a 14, 15-year-old? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
trying to secure the bag.
Yeah.
That's it, man.
But then I looking back though, I'm 14 playing under 18s football. You know what I'm saying? And going and doing these talks now, speaking to lads, not a lot of them are exposed to that. Yeah. And at the time, I didn't know what that meant. I just kind of rolled up and went with it. Turned up Tuesday, Thursday, played on a Saturday, and thought, sick, I'm going to be playing in the Prem one day. Yeah. But now looking back, like, it was a big achievement,
100%, man.
Yeah.
Big.
Yeah.
Seriously big.
Yeah.
No, I was even going to say, I don't know if you had a question, but I wanted to go right from the beginning, man.
Yeah.
How does it all start? Because... Go on.
Oh, before you, because obviously you dropped some gems there.
Gems, yeah.
You spoke about escapism
Yeah.
and going into a trance when
Yeah.
you play football. It reminds me of me when I listened to Thierry Henry's podcast episode with Stephen Bartlett.
Yeah.
He just spoke about
Great
his
episode.
whole career.
Yeah.
He was going through depression, and every
Yeah.
time he played football was that release
Yeah.
away from actually dealing with his difficulties and his problems.
Yeah.
So I found it so interesting to see, like, what were you escaping from?
So I'm gonna include your question in this,
Oh,
and
go
we'll
on,
go
go
back to the beginning. So, like, listen, my mum's amazing, my dad's amazing, but my household wasn't always secure. Let's put it that way. I grew up in a single parent household. You know, probably seen some things. Speaking honestly, I probably shouldn't have seen as a child, but I was always very emotionally aware as a child, and you know, I relate this to football. Football give me that. Looking back now, football give me that right to dream. Because when I used to close my eyes, some of the things I would see in my head wasn't good things. So my distraction was I'd imagine myself scoring a goal. And as a kid, I now know about law of attraction, manifestation, etc. That's all I'd done as a kid. So most kids close their eyes and they think of twinkle, twinkle, little star. I closed my eyes and thought of madness. And the thing to take me off of that was football. So, and like, you know, even little things like my dad, of course he was in my life, but not predominantly growing up as a child. But he would come, and I remember I lived in a council estate in Edmonton, and it was a T-junction. And, you know, if I can kind of paint the picture, it was like a T-junction. There was a little space where we used to play football. And he would pull up and he'd jump out of his car, and, you know, my dad would come rocking over, and I'd think, yeah, my dad's the man. And he would say to me, son, last minute of the World Cup final, Tunisia or England, who you picking? Like, Tunisia. And I'd be like, Tunisia. And he would be like, right, take your penalty. And I'd stand there as an 8-year-old and be so nervous. And I'd be like, but even then I'm learning about breathing techniques as a kid, you know, but I'm not knowing it at them times. And I would score and I would run off and celebrate. And then fast forward 15 years later, I'm at international day. Or no, I started playing for the national squad at 15, but I'm at international football. And I'm thinking, right, this is a kid is what I dreamed of. Do you know what I'm saying? So I can't even remember what your question was, but yeah, trying to relate. That's what football was, my escape, because football took my head off a lot of things, took my head away from a lot of probably negative thoughts I was having as a kid. And as I said, it gave me my right to dream. And like my mum will tell you, I used to sleep with a football, like, because that was my comfort. I didn't have a teddy bear. For me, teddy bears, nursery rhymes. Even my fiance now, she asked me, have you watched this film? I didn't watch films as a kid. I sat there watching Monday Night Football. You know what I mean?
Project Zidane.
Yeah. But
Project
I was being
Zak
conditioned as a
Zidane.
kid.
That's
and
it.
you know, all of this now, and my fear for the next generation, now involved in the education system, coaching, etc., is they're not conditioned like that. And I was built like that from a kid, and ultimately I failed because I'm not where I want to be. But I'm fine with failing now. I couldn't live with that. But I look at these kids now and it's TikTok and it's, I don't know, PlayStation, and I'm thinking, you're making a task even more difficult. And then when they get slapped in the face with a released or to come back from that, it's not easy, you know. And my fear for the next generation is what they're growing up in a different time to myself and probably you guys, and are they being conditioned and trained to deal with what's going to potentially happen? Because football's a ruthless industry. Not easy.
Not easy at all. And you spoke about your football being that pill, basically that paracetamol. To those things, and I feel like so many young people can relate to that because they call it the beautiful game. Every young boy's dream.
Yeah.
And I know I can definitely relate to that. You know, any issues that's happening at home, when you get to training, playing with the lads, it can be amazing. And it's good to hear that sometimes, because we're speaking about the dark side of academy football, the dark side of football, but to hear how it can actually benefit your life in a significant way, it's good to hear. It's good to hear. But going back to Toby's question, it's just about, we've established it's always been a dream for you.
Yeah.
What was some of those early moments where you got into the academy system like?
Yeah. So I actually remember being quite nervous as a kid all the time, but that probably come from what possibly I was experiencing in my life throughout that time as well. So the reason I say that is because going into academies and that, I always had this kind of, from young, and I still have it now, this kind of insecurity and this alter ego. But football, because I had talent, managed to get me through that. But as we get through this, you'll find out, as we talk further, you'll find out that kind of leaves you at an age, and then it's what do you really have. But going back to your question, my first experience was, I used to play for a team called Fab Football, which was a grassroots team. From a young age, I always knew I was better than other players. So I used to train, for example, under 8s, finish that, go train with the under 10s, finish that, go train with the under 12s. Do you know what I mean? I was one of them guys. But not really because of knowing to be driven at that time. But people would always say, like, no, he's got talent. Sorry, my language. No. But people would say, he's got talent. Like, and the coach would say, let him stay and do with the 10s. And I'll go with the 10s and it'll be easy. Let him stay, go with the 12s. And it would still be easy. And then under 11s, should I just talk through my academy system? Yeah?
Why not?
Under 11s, I got 2 contract offers from Barnet and Stevenage. And basically the grassroots team I was at, it was like an 8s to 12s program, or 8s to 11s. And at 11s, the goal was that you go to like an academy at the end of it. But the guy that was running it kind of was an ex-professional football player and had links. And he kind of said to me, the only thing that will stop you playing in the Premier League is the coaching you get. So when I got the 2 contract offers from Barnet or Stevenage, he was like, don't go. 2 League 2 clubs at the time. He was like, you're not going to get the right coaching. But me, again, probably looking back, I had someone that I trusted and I had a contract offer from an academy that, did they care about me at the time? Probably not, because I'm just another number to them at that time. But then that was one bit of, you know, as a kid, your parents see a professional club and they think, like, this is the problem I have with parents. Your son playing under 12s is not a professional footballer. Your son playing under 18s is not a professional footballer. Your son being a first year pro is a professional footballer, but until you play, for me, when you play 100 games, you're a professional footballer. You're not a professional footballer.
You haven't like released 100
I speak to lads and they're like, yeah, I've come from a Premier League club. You're not a Premier League player, my friend. You're a youth team educational footballer. Because remember that 16 to 18 programs, the educational scholarship. It's not a professional contract.
But the thing is, from a young age, like you're saying, it's painted like it is.
Yeah. So, which is amazing, because you should kind of have that swagger, have that arrogance, but also don't be naive, because naive is what a lot of these lads are, unfortunately. So anyway, going through the academy systems, 11, and as a kid, again, I was overweight as a child. Now again, as I get older, I understand I emotionally eat. So I eat on emotion. So when my life was bad, I'm like a pig, bro, non-stop. And I'm still like it now. Like, if I lift up my thing's buttoned with a hairband, but I'm still like it now. It's a trait that follows me.
It links to what you said about the football's your release.
Yeah.
It's just, but whenever you have those difficult periods and you have stress, your sympathetic nervous system heightens, and then you want to have that dopamine
and
rush.
it's a neuropathological pathway that is built from a child that will stay with you. And I still have that now. But the reason I say this and mention this is because I've gone into an academy and they was like, yeah, overweight. But whoever put their arm around me to wonder why. Whoever tried
they don't have any time for that.
Was just, I was a centre mid and I was playing. I had a coach called Paul Higginbottom, and he'll play me as a right back because he'll say, you're not fit enough to get up and down the pitch. Okay, but as an academy football, why am I not fit enough? Why? And what did you do to question why I'm not fit enough? Did you just think, yeah, his parents don't care, he's got no education, blah blah blah, or did you ever put your arm around me to find out what's going on in my life? Which is no problem if you don't, but for me now, being a coach, that's my. We'll get onto that. But yeah, so then from the age of 12s, 13s, I started to kind of really knuckle down and realise, you know, like I could be onto something here. End of under 13, started playing youth team football under a man called Darren Sol. We're happy to keep going through this, yeah?
Let's go, man.
Under a man called Darren Sol. 14s, was playing youth teams regularly, 15s, 16s. Now, Darren Sol is a man that challenged me in an academy system in probably ways that now, and things I was exposed to and we was exposed to, probably you wouldn't get away with. But
the game's changed massively.
But I'm grateful for it because he taught me values and he taught me how to be a man from young. And I had this conversation with Ant the other day. So we come from an environment of if you're late, there's a pole in the middle of the change room, you're all going to the park and you're running to every tree and back at that park from the age of 14, 15, 16. And until one of you say sorry, we're not stopping. And I've been in environments where people have been late and the guy hasn't wanted to say sorry and we've run for hours and hours. I come from an environment where if your standards wasn't high from a kid, you'll be held accountable in front of a group of 18 people, the reason why. I walked into the first time when I got called off the 18s with an earring in. He made me, my back was sweating after he finished talking to me. Who do you think you are? Get that earring out your ear. What do you think this is? And at the time I thought, why is he talking to me like that? Like, But now I understand it. It's values. It's respect. Do you know what I mean? Like, we had to wear white trainers with our tracksuit. Was it white? It was white trainers with our tracksuit. If you didn't come with white trainers, you weren't probably playing that day, and you was getting grilled. And as a kid, I never understood that. But he was trying to teach us values. And on the training pitch, like, I don't want to dive in and drop people in it, but I've probably heard things I've been called things, words that you shouldn't call a 16-year-old boy. But again, the mindset at that time was, if we're preparing you to play in the first team from the age of 17, 18, we have to expose you to an environment which you're going to be very uncomfortable. Because if you step into that first team environment, it's not going to be comfortable. So if we cotton wool wrap you, you're not going to be ready. And now I think there's a line, and I think there's a thin line that you have to be on, because at the time I never understood it. Now I do. But I've seen people turn down scholarships because they didn't want to be in that environment. Very talented players. I've seen players leave because they didn't want to be in the environment. I've been broken. People have been broken. But then again, the people that have gone on to be successful were ones that could deal with that. So it's a line.
Yeah. I feel like it's something me and Toby's discussed earlier on. I feel like in order to reach the heights of excellence, or get to a level of success that only the 1% get to, you've got to have a level of insanity, a level of determination, bulletproof mentality, in order to sustain that. And I feel like that's the environment that you need, that is required in order to be successful in the football environment.
But I even think on that, because we're talking about development. How can you be prepared for something which, one, you don't know? And if you're not exposed to it, you're going to be ready for. You know, and you speak a lot about development, the coaches that have developed you, your experiences that have developed you to be the man that you are today. And there's a line for it. So if we don't actually push it to the line, how do you actually prepare people for where they're going in terms of football? So that's where I'm always balancing between it, because like you said, there is a line. And some people say the game's changed, like you said.
But
how do you genuinely prepare a young player nowadays?
You watch the David Beckham documentary. He didn't have any lines. He was his football education, if you say, was completely different to anyone else's age. He got a special treat from Sir Alex, and he was way beyond the line as to what he's supposed to be doing at that age. And that's what's required if you want to get to the highest level as early as possible. All the players that you see now who are playing first team football at the age of 18 and everything, they've been separated from the cloth as to what's the norm for their age. In order to reach those levels.
We're passionate, which is good. But my thing was, are you the person that you are at 14, 15, 16, 18 without those experiences? You know?
So this is this is why I love these conversations, because what you say is just about to finish mine. We're all finishing each other's sentences because we're passionate and we believe in the same thing. But like, when Darren Saul released me, can I use the language that he used? Can I swear on this or not? Is that not? Let me cut out.
Why not?
So he's gone to me. This is a man that's been playing me with a youth team from the age of 13. He then got the first team job when I was a scholar. So I thought, I'm going to be playing first team. That man didn't give me one opportunity. Not one opportunity. And for whatever reason, but that was someone like a father figure. And then the way he released me, we walked into a meeting and he said, and this is something that I looked at as a father figure but I'm thankful to this man, because he took me to Florida on trips with the youth team when I was 15, 16. He made me the youth team captain for a game when I was 15. He'd done so much for me, but at the time I didn't understand it. So he released me after 8 years of looking at someone like a father figure. Zach, cut the bullshit. You're not getting a professional contract. I wish you all the best.
Just like that?
Just like that.
You're lying.
I walked in.
After 8 years?
Cut the, you're not getting a professional contract. Good luck. And I come out there and I was like, wow. But my ego taught me, I'm good. I'm a baller.
Wait. Yeah. You're telling me that's
how I got released.
The one sentence.
And I remember I was the youth team captain at the time. Basically, we had our meetings 2 o'clock, 2:15, 2:30, 2:45. Everyone's coming out. I've been released. I've been released. And my one was last.
Was that you by yourself?
In the meeting? No, the academy manager, Robbie O'Keefe. But my meeting was last. And just previously before that, we had played a 23s game against Brentford, and Brentford had just opened their B team. I had a good game. after the game, my agent called me, actually the one that had been trying to get me from the age of 14, who I ended up signing with, that done nothing for me, and said, look, Brentford are interested in you. Do you want to go to Brentford? So I said, yeah, sick. So I've gone over to Brentford. Again, who checked my welfare when I was there? Who gave me a call to boost my confidence? Who asked me how it was going? Nobody. I went to Brentford. I played a game for Saturday for Stevenage gets late, and Orient played 90 minutes. Went and trained with Brentford Sunday, trained with them Monday, played against Crystal Palace on Tuesday. Crystal Palace had Michael Phillips, Nia Kirby and Cian Flanagan. 2 of them ex-England internationals. I've been at little old Stevenage. Played 45 minutes. They dragged me at half time. I never went back. But who put in some welfare to check how I was doing? Who called me to say, Zach, tomorrow do this? No one. I was left out there by myself. I'll come back and end up getting released.
That's the key reason and the importance of the role of the player care role. Currently at clubs, and not even only the player care role, but the work of the PFA. In those critical periods, but I would say. I
look at it now and I'm like, cool. If I'm an academy manager, you know Zach's not getting a professional contract in your heart of hearts.
From ages.
So when Zach's gone to Brentford, why are you not saying, kid, come on, I'm with you? Because I'm a player and I still have insecurities. That's just me naturally. You come in and boost me up, you're going to get a new Zach. So if you know that, and I don't blame them because they've got 100 other things to deal with, but I just know me as a person, I would have put my arm around myself then. Because before that game, I was thinking, if I have a good game here, this can potentially change my life. Because after the first day of training, I remember the coach, I can't remember the coach's name. I think he still works there at Brentford. He was like, oh, you know what, lads? This kid was the best trainer in the room today, and he's come from Stevenage. You lot need to have a look at yourself. So I thought, yeah. But then, like, you know, and anyway, getting released, where I was going with that, I had hate in my heart for Darren. So I despised him. Like, I had like, oh, when I see him, I'm going to not do anything. I'm going to say how I feel. I'm going to let him know how I feel.
You're not the only one.
But looking back now, I'll be lying if I say when I see him now, I'd give him a hug and I'd say, thank you so much. Because you made me the man that I am. When I was a 13-year-old kid and I used to walk into your academy building and I'd be nervous to see you because I wouldn't know how to shake your hand, you taught me about that. When I go into a business meeting now, I can conduct myself in a way and shake hands. You gave me values in life deeper than football.
Wow.
So I would see him and I'd give him a hug and I'd say thank you. And now managing and I want advice, I'd call him.
Powerful.
So do you know what I'm saying?
So it's a little bit of tough love.
And I never understood it because I didn't have the education to understand it. And the tough love that I maybe received in a home environment triggered me to PTSD. Do you know what I'm saying? So, but
No, I just feel like, just even speaking to you now, like all those early experiences in football have made you the man that you are.
100%.
You know, and shaped you. Someone actually asked me the question the other day and they said, has football taught you anything about life? I said, football's taught me everything about life. Everything about life. And I think sometimes in the midst of setbacks, we can look at football and say, bruv, this thing's tough. But it's actually made us who we are. That's our education. That's our development, you know. And I think having people like yourself still in the game, I'm a big champion for. You've gone through it. You got the language. You got the experience. Stay in the game. We need you to keep doing your thing.
I always use this sentence, people, when I speak to people, and like especially doing these talks of the Premier League, LFE, and mentoring, and they say, oh yeah, but like, you know, 25 years old, professional footballer in 3 different countries, you know, international football from the age of 15 to the senior team, BBC documentary. And I say, yeah, all these achievements are amazing. But I can honestly sit here and say, it's not all of the achievements that, if you ask me what the best things have to me in football, I wouldn't sit there and say any of them achievements. I'd say it's the person that's made me. And that's me being honest. I would love to sit there and have a bit of ego and say, yeah, the international and blah, blah, blah. But it's not. It's the person that made me. That's the best thing to happen to me.
That's beautiful. That's
Yeah.
beautiful. I wanted to go back to what you spoke about earlier on before you went on to dive deeper into your academy journey. You spoke about a little bit of an alter ego that you had early on before you went into academy with that nervousness. Could you explain a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so nerves made me be someone I wasn't, which is not sustainable. Because that only lays with you for so long, stays with you for so long. So I've always been insecure in myself. Like, I could be the best player on the pitch and I'd think about the pass that I made that was bad. I could have a 2-year contract and think I'm getting released the next week. I don't know why I've been like that. It was the fear of failure.
It's like a little bit of a paranoia.
And I don't know if it's my conditioning from a child. I don't know, but I would be on international duty and be worried about not getting selected the next time instead of being present and enjoying the moment. I would have a good game and be thinking, I hope I don't play bad next week. I don't know why I had that conditioning, which is maybe why I didn't stay in that 1%. Because the 1% don't have the people.
Do you think so?
No.
Because I was reading a book the other day, Ray Dalio talks about principles.
Yeah.
And he says that the paranoid are the ones that survive and go to the next level. The paranoid in terms of always thinking about, okay, cool, what if?
I agree.
What if? Because they're now the ones who are going to change things and be on the front foot in terms of, okay, cool, being proactive and staying on top, doing your extras to make sure that what you're paranoid about.
So, but if it sends you that way.
If it sends you,
that's
what I'm saying. That's why it's always about the way you frame it and the way that your perception.
Because 99% go the other way.
Exactly.
And that's the 1%.
So it's a pressure that can crush you.
Those are the fine details.
Yeah. Because I think as you were sharing, I said, and something that I was challenged with reading a book earlier this week, and it was speaking about, are you motivated by fear or faith?
Yeah.
You know, do you actually believe that you're going to achieve something, or are you trying to achieve something so you don't fail?
Yeah. And I was motivated by fear. By fear of failure. Because and I would like to think faith motivated me, but it didn't. Faith motivated me when, please let me have a good game tomorrow. Do you know what I'm saying? But faith was motivated by fear. Do you get it?
Yeah.
It all comes back to something.
Yeah.
And I see these kids today, and it's like I see myself in all of these kids, but my dream is just that, like, because I can sit here and say, yeah, I'm a baller, I'm this and I'm that, but that's not me. That's not my character. I want everyone to talk about the hard times, and I don't want it to be negative, because it's not negative, but it's real life, and hopefully these kids can learn from it and gain something from it, you know.
100%. I feel like they're definitely gonna learn from it. What you said about insecurities, I think it's interesting, because me and Toby's always talking about it in terms of like characters in the change room. I feel like there's a big issue in terms of changing rooms and people going through things and the projection of behaviors based on those insecurities, like maybe the loudmouths in the change rooms.
So I was captain. I was youth team captain in Sweden. I spent the pre-season being captain, and I never ended up getting it because I was young, foreign in a different country. They didn't think it was right, whatever. But fear of insecurities made me be the loudmouth in the change room. Now, not to pick on, because you've been in change room where people take the mick out of people. That was never me. But I was always the one that would open my mouth and speak, not even know what I'm saying. But if I didn't feel like I was speaking, if I didn't feel like I was active, my performance would go down. So I had to do that. I'm not one of these lads that can sit there with headphones in before a game and just be like, I have to be up, shaking people's hands, talking, which probably as a manager you think, no, he's a good leader. But that's just because if I sit there and think, I'm going to think about the ball going under my foot 10 times. Do you know what I'm saying? It's a coping mechanism. And my coping mechanism probably made people think, no, he's a good leader. But deep down, it was an insecurity. And maybe if someone taught me how to deal with that better, I would have, because I was like this, vroom, 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 vroom. But if someone give me that education, I always use this analogy of a chair, So a chair with 4 legs, one leg being technical, one leg being tactical, one leg being physical, one leg being emotional. I was always trained technically, tactically, physically. No one gave me that emotional leg. So every time I sat down in a big moment, I fell off that chair. And for me to perform, you have to have stability. Now, if I was trained that emotional leg, I would have had stability, which would have enabled me to perform on a more consistent basis.
Have you trademarked that?
I need to. I delivered that one well, but
you delivered that still.
That was my thing, and that's my dream now for these kids, that they can get that emotional leg, because it's all about. I was in the gym doing 80 kg bench press at 16 years of age because I thought it was cool. What did I do for my performance? I'd have rather read a book. My dream is that in academies you have book corners now. Right. And you get books with, and you
don't
have
get me started on books, boy.
And you have rooms. This is my dream.
Keep dreaming.
But my dream would be this.
You've got to clip that.
My dream would be in an academy. You have a room like this, and you've got motivational quotes. You've got a dark room. You've got a place to visualize. You've got a place to manifest. You've got a place to read, and that'd be cool. Because if you told me read a book from 16 to 18, I'd have told you, I'm bov. I'm bov. You're busy.
You're busy.
You're this. Busy is cool, man. Busy is cool. Educate yourself. Like, I left school with 0 GCSEs. I was excluded from secondary school. I sat my GCSEs in the head teacher's office because I thought I was going to be a professional footballer. Education wasn't important to me. For me now, education is everything. Do you know what I mean?
100%. It's an interesting one. Just to touch on briefly, obviously you said you left school just thinking you're going to be a footballer. So your identity already from a young age was formed, I'm going to make it as a footballer. That other identity, what would you advise players? Because I'm sure there's a lot of players that just think, I'm going to make it as a footballer and have no other identity, like you said.
So just fast forward and we can retract, but just to touch on that. So I fell out of professional football at the age of 21 and come back and got a brand new Mercedes on lease with not money to pay for it, because I wanted to still be that identity of professional footballer, and I thought having a car kept me in that identity. My first scholar wages, I bought a wash bag that took my whole wages because I thought that was an identity. When I first got my professional football, I never went to family events because I had no identity. Wow. I didn't know who I was. I spent a year and a half training in the park and posting videos on Instagram of me training in the park because I thought I still looked like a footballer. I was embarrassed to talk to people because I didn't have an identity. And it took me, I stayed at Dover for 6 months because I wanted to be a National League player, because anything below it was failure for me. I wasn't playing football. And then went to Conference South, had 3 clubs in Braintree, Tonbridge Angels, because I thought it's still some sort of professional environment. Like, because I just wanted to cling on to an identity that was, what was it? It didn't make me who I am. And now I've found my identity, or no, I haven't found it. I'm still on a journey to finding it beyond football, but I'm more happy than I am now because I can walk into a room and not have to, think that I need to dress a certain way. I need to talk a certain way. I need to use the words bov, busy, big time, massive time, and you still use the football language. I can sit here and actually accept my failures for people to grow. And like I said, now my dream is just that, like, listen, my career, I achieved a lot. I'm happy with blah, blah. If you told me at the age of 5 I would have achieved what I achieved, I would have probably chopped my arm off for it. But I've got something greater in me than that. My dream and what would make me more happy is changing kids' lives. Not kids, young professional footballers. And hopefully they can listen and be like, because you know what, a lot of people will listen, the ones that think they're bov, that think they're big time, that think they're whatever, and they'll listen to this, go, do you know what, that's me. Because that's what I used to do. But I'll be like, nah, it is me, it's not me. It is me, it's not me. Because I won't want to accept it. Do you know what I'm saying?
I feel like it's like what he's just shared there is too powerful. It's powerful because it's the issue with so many players who grow up playing football, and I don't think it's only players who are still in the game, but even players who go on and actually transition out of the game once they even like from in their 20s. There's still something that grips them so hard in terms of holding on to that identity of being a footballer. And I feel like it's so interesting that we need to do some research into it, why it grips you so much, why that athletic identity grips you so much that you can't separate yourself from it. It just feels like I've got to do this. It's urging you on. It keeps you going on and on, chasing the dream, even though there's a serious sunk cost.
But I look at myself and I think it's how you channel that. Maybe I'm 25 managing a team because I'm still clinging on to it subconsciously.
Wow,
but maybe because I've just had a 10-week-old baby and I'm spending my Tuesdays, Thursdays, Saturdays at a Step 5 club on 25 pence a week trying to manage and make things happen. Maybe
it's manifested in a different format.
Yes, but
you're still getting that itch.
Now I'm channeling it in a different way and it suits me more now. Sorry.
It's interesting because I started to do a bit more research on the topic of worth because I think that's what it spirals around. Where do you get your sense of worth from? Because as a footballer in society, you're worth top dollar. Even if no one sees
300 quid a week, 300 quid a month,
and no one's seen you play. You know, you just step in and you say, I play football here. Doors start to fly open. So everyone wants to be attached to that sense of worth. I'm worth more because I play football and he doesn't. You know, so you got to find a worth beyond football. Do you know what I'm saying?
And I think that comes from as well, older pros in the game need to do more because I looked at the professional footballers that I was around, that looking at now as a 16 to 18 year old that I looked up to because they had Range Rovers, because they had nice clothes, but they probably have the same thoughts that I have. And ultimately, unless you're playing in a Champ or the Prem, you're retiring and getting a job. League One, League Two, I know people that have played 600 games in League One and are working as bricklayers.
You're lying.
91% of players.
Wait.
91%.
It's the money's not like
they're
that.
bricklayers now.
Maybe like just top end League One, your derbies, your derby of
They're
League One,
bricklayers
right?
now.
But
600 games.
600
games in League
You're
One.
in League One, League Two. If you're at Steam, you're drawing a couple of grand a week. That's not life-changing money.
It's not life-changing.
I know people that are bricklayers that make that money. Do you know what I mean?
100%. The statistic is actually 91%.
That's interesting.
Have to get a job
when they finish playing professional.
So basically you're doing a career that you have to work after you retire. So you're basically doing a half career.
Yeah, but that's like your first. Football's like your first career
job.
for many.
But the thing is, what people say, this is the balance that I sit on as well, because I think the ones that fail and have resentment in their heart be like, oh, I wish I'd done something else. I wish I'd done this. No, football gives you the best moments in your life.
Yeah.
Moments that scientifically it does something to your body which you can't control. When I'm standing there doing the national anthem, there's a picture of me, I've got tears in my eyes. That moment and that feeling, I can't replace. There's nothing that can replace that in life. But as I think though, that there should be more knowledge, and it should be looked at as cool to finish training at 1 o'clock and educate yourself.
Yeah.
I think it should be, you have to do it, because you do a BTEC as a scholar, but
nothing's once you're a pro, you're just left to do your own things.
I think you should, because if that's a statistic, are we setting people up to fail or succeed? How are we setting them up?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
100%.
And when you come out of football, it's a dark world, man. It's a lonely, dark place.
Yeah. Why? How?
Because, again, you lose that sense of, well, for me, I lost that sense of worth. I lost that sense of routine. I lost sense of structure. I had no income. My life, and I was still trying to chase all of them things without having anything. And in doing all that, you've still got to perform. Remember, football is based on performing. So if I'm telling you you're going into a meeting and everything is stacked against you, but you've got to perform in that meeting, you'll probably say, I'm not going to have that meeting. But as a footballer, you're expected to go on a 3-day trial and perform. And then we talk about the 1%, the people that are successful, because they can do that in that moment where I couldn't do that. Like, I'll tell you this little story as well. So I'd come out of, played in Sweden, ended up winning the league. So fell out of professional football. Got released from Stevenage, went into non-league, struggled. Went to Sweden, won the league. Come back the next season, flying, got an international call up, and I'm getting sold to a team in Tunisia. Signed a 4-year contract. 2 months into that, so basically, it was all a little bit of a whirlwind. I got the international call up. I had 6 months left of my contract in Sweden. Now, people's advised me, stay in Sweden, you'll get a move at the end of it. Anyway, I ended up going out to Tunisia, signing this 4-year contract that I thought would change me and my family's life. 3 months into the contract, they stopped paying my wages. So I ended up taking them to, because I had a Tunisian passport, I had to wait 3 months out receiving my salary. So I stayed out there 3 months out being paid, come back to England, took them to court, blah, blah, blah. When I come back to England, I had in my head still that, you know what, I was still going through this court case with them. I ended up signing a piece of paper saying that they paid me every penny they owed me so they could release me with no compensation attached. Then COVID hit. So I'm now can't go on trial. Now, Dagenham and Redbridge offered me a trial at this point because I could go in and through an agent. I turned it down because at the time I thought I could get better. I look back now, crazy naive. A year later, a Step 4 team offered me a trial. The anxiety that caused in me, I made an excuse that I was ill not to go on trial. Imagine that you're playing international football. You're turning down trials at National League club because you think you're better than that. A year later, a Step 4 club offers you a trial. He texts me of the morning. I won't say the club on the name. And I was like, oh, what do I do? Oh, I can't go on this trial. Oh, my calf hurts. Oh, my hamstring hurts. And imagine that mindset shift where before I'd rock up to international training and Champions League players, my shoulders back, and I'm the man. And in 12 months, I took that shift. What happened to my mind in them 12 months? But who was there to give me some well-being through them 12 months?
Did you access the PFA?
Nah.
When you were on?
Nah. If I'm honest, no. Because I didn't know what to access.
You didn't know what to access.
Because I hear about, these retreats and mental health, but I don't want to admit that I was struggling with mental health. But probably if I went to a therapist and spoke to someone, it could have helped me a lot. But I'm just saying, look at that mindset shift of how quickly things can change. From turning down trials in the National League, which is, that's not an amazing achievement, but I'm saying that's where my mind was and how I thought about myself, to getting a trial in Step 4 and being so nervous to go that I made up a lie that I didn't go train.
Yeah, well.
Think of that.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of what you're saying is stems from not having the right guidance, naivety, pride, insecurities. These are all key things that you've been listing, and it feels like the key solution to that would have probably helped you reach or become the person that you wanted to be would be having an ideal mentor. How important do you think that would have been?
100%. And I had people that cared about me, but no one that had lived there and been there and done it. And when coaches told me, you're not doing this right, or I think he's on me.
Yeah.
He's chatting rubbish. He don't like me. But if I spoke to if I don't know how to articulate this.
Your older self.
If I spoke to myself as a 16-year-old now, I would listen to myself.
Yeah.
Because I spoke to people that, baller, step over, chop, Cruyff. That's all rubbish. Don't mean nothing. you get into the pro game, you don't even do that stuff. You take a touch and pass it.
Bro,
do you know what I mean?
You do that a few times, you get dragged off.
Like, I cared more about having my cut socks and tape on my wrist than playing a game of football. Because I was delusioned. And that's what football can do to you. I see players coming now to me and look, and they tape on their wrist, cut socks, and no problem. What if that makes you feel good? But worry about your performance. Like, and now managing, again, beyond football, why I love the name of this thing, because the podcast, because now managing, I get lads that come on loan from League One clubs, lads that have been at Premier League clubs to Step 5 football and struggle.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to say to them, and they're like, but I thought I could just be Bob, or I could do. And I say, don't be like me. Learn from me, because I went from international professional footballer to a Step 5 footballer in 3 years. And in that time, I tried to go on I went on a TV show. I went on this. I done that. I played every step from Step 1 to 5 in 3 years. And now I'm no longer playing. And that's my fear for you. Well, not you. That's my fear for them. Sorry.
For you,
yeah. And it's like, they just don't get it, man. And I wish that, why don't they get it? Because if you told me that as an 18-year-old, I wouldn't have got it. But if you conditioned me from the age of 12 to 18, I would have got it. Because it wouldn't have been the first time I heard it. Yeah. You know what I mean?
But then that's where I always balance it. Like, because I always ask, where does the responsibility lie? You know, what are we meant to do from 12 to 18 so people are getting the message? Because obviously you're doing great work with the LFE, you're doing great work with the Premier League, you're championing the cause of being beyond football and having an identity beyond football. But what's that solution?
Yeah.
You know? And where does that solution lie? Because are we saying that there isn't support?
Yeah.
Are we saying the players aren't kind of conditioned enough to access that support?
Do you know where I think it lies? In educating the parents. I think that's where it lies, because how many parents in the academy system are educated on the failures that can potentially hit their son or daughter? How many parents are sat in rooms and spoken about why their son or daughter is potentially being treated that way, and why we're creating Dan Harris, an amazing guy, amazing guy. Like, me and him I've met the guy twice, but the conversations I have with him is like, wow. But how many people, and we were talking about this the other day, how do you wobble a child? How do you prepare that child? Because ultimately they're children. How do you wobble them, and where's the line? Because I was wobbled by seeing 15, 16-year-olds getting grabbed up by their neck. That's how I was wobbled. I was wobbled through fear. But did fear and wobble, because there's a theme through this conversation of fear, did that send me the wrong way? So how do you wobble a child? But if you educate the parents, because I work in schools now, I know about safeguarding. Some of the things are major safeguarding issues, you know. But like, serious, like they're major safeguarding. How does it start with the education of the parents? Because where is that child's most contact time? At home. So why do you not hit the source?
Wow.
Why do you not hit the source? Because educating a child, they're going to go back to their mum, and their mum's like, don't worry, Charlie, you're going to be playing in the Prem like I was told. You don't worry about him. So do we do enough to educate the parents? Do we put on workshops to educate the parents of the realism of what can happen to your child? Because I think the most external pressure comes from parents. And a lot of fear of failure and a lot of expectations come from parents. And I don't know if there's anything that educates parents. I don't know.
Yeah, it's interesting, because I recently done a workship with parents at
so it's getting done.
Chelsea Academy.
Amazing.
It's getting done to an extent, but more needs to be done. And a key thing is literally what you were saying, where a lot of parents, they weren't aware. So the feedback after the session was they weren't aware of the realities of the importance of having an identity beyond football. So it's so important. But what you said about like the external pressures that they face, I think it's so interesting. Like it's sparked a light bulb in my mind now, because we spoke about the identity that the son or the footballer has. But what about the identity that the parent has from having the son who plays football?
Because you look at my mum's Facebook, everything is to do with me playing football.
See?
Which is amazing, because I've got a daughter now. Whether she'll be a footballer or not, hopefully I have a son. But like, I would be that proud, and you should be so proud. And as a player, you should be so proud. And like, I believe we can all sit here in this room and have this conversation because we've been through a similar journey, and it creates this. And without football, we wouldn't be speaking like this.
100%.
What would we speak about? You know. So you should be proud, and you should look at yourself in a good light. I don't want to make this academy system like a negative thing.
No, it's not.
But if I'm telling you statistically that, you correct me, Toby, you may know better, but I'm sure it's something along the line of 1% of players that are playing in the Premier League academy at the age of 16 are still playing in the Premier League at the age of 24.
I think something
in and around that. So
yeah.
that's telling me 99% will not be where you expect them to be.
Yeah.
So what do we do for this 99%? Put on a workshop once a season? What do we do?
Yeah.
Or do we?
Whoa, who's shooting shots at?
But no, it's
but it's the facts, because even the workshop is more a cure than preventative.
Yeah.
So when you talk about the 12 to 18, it is.
It's a plaster.
And the plaster's going to come off.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? Rather than saying stopping them from getting hurt in the first place,
Yeah.
and actually preventing them through education, like you said, through educating the parents,
Yeah.
we're saying, let's wait till it happens and then plaster them up.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So
I'll touch on this thing, plan A and plan B. If you told me have a plan B as a 12 to 21-year-old, I'd have looked at it as failure. Plan B for me was ultimate failure.
Yeah.
But now, looking back, I don't think there should be a plan B and a plan A. Plan A is still not playing professional football.
Yeah.
Plan A is still whatever you want it to be. For me, plan A is happiness.
Yeah. Wow.
And I found happiness now.
So it's called. So we'd say that's your second plan A.
Yeah, but it's such a, you could deep dive into this so much, but it's like, of course, plan A is to become a professional footballer.
Yeah.
But also plan A may be being a coach.
Yeah.
Plan A may be being a business owner. Plan A may be having nothing to do with football.
Yeah.
It's not plan B and plan A.
That's it.
Yeah.
They go.
Hand in hand.
We like to call it like your beyond football journey.
Yeah.
So you have your football journey that runs, from your pre-academy phases, youth development phase, and all the way through your senior career.
Yeah.
But alongside that, it's so important to have your beyond football journey. It's a journey that you go along at the same time. It's like, for example, you're traveling, but you're going on two different journeys at the same time.
Yeah.
It's so important.
It's interesting because I know you guys are talking about journeys in terms of actually having something substantial, but you also need to have two identities.
Yeah.
More than one identity beyond football. And I think a lot of times players are only developing one identity. Yeah. But you're a son. You could be a brother. Yeah. You could be someone who likes photography. Yeah. Bro, you could be a gamer. Yeah. You have all of these different identities around your football or alongside your football that other players need to explore. And I think that is the thing that we need probably from 12 to 18 to say it's not just football, because just in case you don't make it, just in case you fall into the 99, bruv, you know that you're good at other stuff, and then your worth comes from all of these other identities as well, so it's an interesting one.
I don't think it's just in case. I feel like we need to stop using that terminology.
You think?
Of what, sorry?
Of saying just in case you don't make it.
Yeah.
I think we need to tell them you're more likely you're not gonna make it.
You can't tell people that, bro.
I disagree.
But the thing is, because just in case. Okay, I understand where you guys are gonna come from in terms of obviously.
I see what you're saying.
You have to let them dream.
Yeah.
You have to let them dream. But I feel like the terminology needs to be changed.
Yeah, but if you told me as a 16-year-old you're not gonna make it, I'd have told you to F off.
Yeah,
that's good. That's good. But you need to know.
Yeah, but it's not going to sink in.
It's not going to sink in.
But there is. I think even though it's not going to sink in, but you need to know.
I see what you're saying.
Someone needs to tell them you're not going to make it.
I think it's more like this. Okay, I look at a holistic approach. So a lot of Cat 2, Cat 1. Cat 1's probably 3 times a week, 4 times a week. Cat 2's 3 times. Maybe Cat 3's academies. We're talking about people that don't know. The categories are based on your league of your club and finances, etc. But you get 2 hours on a Tuesday, 2 hours on a Thursday, a game on a Saturday. And that 2 hours on a Tuesday may be football. The 2 hours on a Thursday may be an hour gym, an hour football. That was my route schedule anyway. But where does that education come into it? Now, it's such a hard challenge because you're trying to develop a professional footballer. But I believe education, reading, giving footballers this extra half an hour, or even like, if I'm an academy manager, I'm giving my lads homework. And their homework is to go back and educate themselves and watch things like this. And what do you learn from that?
Powerful.
That if I'm an academy manager, I'm giving that holistic approach because then they're more prepared to deal with the real world. If I'm an academy manager, my scholars are going to do a week of work experience on a building site. Go and learn about real life.
Work experience.
Go and learn about, because you do that in school.
Yeah.
But then it's the question of, we're trying to develop professional footballers. No, you're developing people. Because you're a human before you're a footballer.
Amen.
And go and let them work in, I don't want to talk derogatory to companies or things, but go and let them work in environments that they're not comfortable in. And I guarantee you that will come back and make them work even harder
as a better player.
100%.
And a better person. Because I fell out of professional football And I went and worked on a building site with my cousin, and by 10:30 I took my helmet off, I took my gloves, I laid it down like it was like a cemetery or something, and I walked out there and said, this ain't for me. And that made me realise, like, damn, I wish I worked harder. I wish I'd done things different.
Wow.
Now I wish as a scholar I had that in my first year. Because that fear, again, the fear of knowing that's what's possible and knowing that's what's real life, that would have drove me. Because I know people that are 26, 27 that come out of football, and then I work as Amazon delivery drivers, and these people that played in the championship, which is no problem.
In the champ.
But not played, been in squads.
Yeah.
But they're now like,
and Amazon delivery.
And this is 27. Yeah. Damn, what do I do? But what would they have, there's a reason why they're there. And what would they have done different? But again, what conditioning, if you've been in an academy, in what other workplace do you potentially put in all of your effort and time from the age of 8 to 21, 22, 23, 24, 25 to come out with nothing? Yeah. And when I say nothing, I mean financially or a qualification or it's not possible.
It's funny because you speak about mentoring and you speak about leaving a game with nothing. I remember when I left Charlton as I think I was a first year pro, second year pro. There was guys on the back of the train when I was playing for Bromley. The thing they said to me, if you leave football with something, you've done well.
Yeah.
And I said, you're joking. What do you mean? I'm going to make it all the way through, bro. Big houses, bro. Everything, businesses. If you leave football with something, you've done well. And you've done more than the majority of people that have played football.
And that's what is that something?
What is that something?
And that something can be us having this conversation.
Yeah.
Because we've left with, for me, we're probably different people to where we was now than as kids through football. We can talk like, but if you knew much, I left school with no qualifications. How comes that man like me that grew up in the county state in Edmonton, difficult background, blah blah blah, but you sit here and be able to sit here and articulate myself the way I do because of football.
That is amazing.
Because when I'm in international duty and I'm sitting around Alain Giresse, who's won the World Cup with France, the national team manager, and I'm watching how he walks, I used to even watch how they drink water. Do they sip it? Do they chuck it? Like these are little things I've because they're the 1%, and we talk about these 1%, but I used to try and learn off them, but. Yeah,
but it's interesting because even when you speak about learning and probably not even going through so much formal education, life teaches you, bro. Football teaches you. If you have a posture of a student, where you're willing to learn off every experience that you go through, because we've been sitting here for I don't know how long now, 40 minutes, 45 minutes, talking about all the things that you've learned from. Not education, not maybe reading books. So every time a player's out there, we're learning. Every day's a school day. That's what I always say. So we need to pick up all the gems and the things that we can learn.
No, I agree.
And I think if you have that mindset from 12, even if you do get released a little bit later, you've taken something on the way. So then you are already beyond football.
Yeah.
You've got an identity, you've got a purpose beyond football because you've had different experiences through football and outside of football.
And it's like, I know you're doing a similar talk to me for the Premier League, and when we're speaking to these 16-year-olds and we're giving this message, I don't know if they get it. Yeah. Sometimes I'm talking to them and I can see they're looking at me and smiling, but in the back of their head are they thinking, shut up. But like I probably would have thought that age. But again, it comes to, if these were conversations that was drip fed from the age of 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, now when it hits them, and we're not telling these kids it's over. But if we look statistically, okay, there's been people that's gone on and done well from it. Like, I come out of professional football at 22 and couldn't get back in the game. Coming out at 16 and trying to get back in, do you know what I mean? The odds are stacked against you. If you do it, fantastic. But it's just trying to drive them to know that it's not over, because I know lads that have come out the game at 16, 17, 18 that are now playing in the Prem, Champ, etc. And I know lads that have been in the game till 25 and no longer playing. But it's like, what do we do to wire and build these neuropathological pathways in the correct way to help them have success, whatever they do?
I think I've got the solution.
What is that? If you do, you're going to be a very rich man soon.
We're going to be rich.
I think I've got the solution.
I said right.
He didn't even let me say the solution.
Sorry, bring it in, God.
Everyone should listen to the podcast.
We'll share that.
But it's no
Everyone should listen to the podcast,
I
innit?
Because, so, like, if I listened to this as a 16-year-old, like, I would have bought into it, because I know I'd have listened to that thinking, yeah, that's me. And I was always like that as a kid. And again, like you say, we ain't even deep dived into the TV show and this and that, which is fine, which is fine. Which is fine. But for me, this is more meaningful, because I can sit here and tell you, but I don't know if Bruno Fernandes was buzzing off me and Roman Kemp was buzzing off me and Gifton Williams said that he's going to put me in his car and put his seatbelt on me and drive me to a club himself and I chopped this guy and I done this diag. But is that meaningful? Wow. That's just me trying to fulfill my own ego, being honest. And again, looking for that false ego that's trying to, you know what I'm saying? So, it's been like, I hope we've still got some time left, but it's been fantastic, man.
I wanted to get into a few of your experiences. You talk about falling out of love with football.
Yeah.
Talk me through some of the experiences like that.
So, I fell out of love with football because of, I didn't think, possibly because when I lived with a sob story for too long. So we could have deep dived into it more about the situation that happened in Jinadu, etc. I let that story follow me everywhere I went. I used to wear my national team shorts to every club I went to in non-league because I just wanted people to accept me straight away. And everywhere I would go, people would say, "You're a baller, like what?" But after week 3, the bad habits would creep back in. So I fell out of love with the game when, to be honest, dropping into non-league is tough. And like I said, the sob story stayed with me for too long. And every club I went to, you know, I would do 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and then be let go. And when I'm getting let go from step 3 clubs, I was like, bro, watching my clips, like,
am I that bad?
Am I that bad?
Yeah,
and then my friend would come watch me and be like, what's happened to you? Then I started to become overweight. And then I was not fit. And then my mind wasn't engaged in football like before. So I'm in an environment where I'm trying to get back to playing professional football, but I'm doing 100 times less than I was doing when I was playing professional football. Yeah. How do I get there? And then, like I said, I become honest with myself, and I got to the point where I was like, okay, cool. For me to reach the levels I was at or would aspire to get to, playing is no longer going to be the route. Now, again, I'm a big dreamer. Wow. And now I'm back at my apprenticeship stage. I'm back like a scholar, managing. I'm 25, managing a team in step 5, assistant managing, a team in step 5. Now, I'm back at that apprenticeship stage. Can I push on? Can I go be successful? I'm providing this holistic approach, which I wish I had in non-league to these lads. So a lot of my lads have come out of professional clubs because I want to give them what I never had, which I believe can take them back to where they want to get or push us on. And can I make something out of myself? That's my challenge to myself now.
That's great.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's great.
And just to touch on the boot dreams, because I think that's a massive experience. How does that link to that Tunisia experience and you falling out of love with the game?
So boot dreams was a good experience. But again, boot dreams.
What actually is it?
So the concept was 16 ex-professional footballers was together for a month. We had a month, 4 games to get back into professional football. But again, boot dreams were very ego-fulfilling for me looking back because I knew I was going to be on the poster. I knew the cameras was always on me. Episode 1, I knew Roman Kemp was presenting. It was buzzing off me. Go on my Instagram. There's clips. He's like, Zak, what a player Zak is. And I'm like, cameras, this is what I thought football would be like. And then come onto the show, boom, and slap me in the face. I'm back depressed after the show.
Wow.
Because no professional contract, no one got a professional contract. Well, one lad got something that was lined up from before the show anyway. And so again, I was back slapped in the face. And we're going to offer you welfare, we're going to offer you this, but where was it? I never see it. You know what I mean? And
nothing.
Again, a WhatsApp group chat with 18 people in it asking, are you okay? Do you know what I mean? That's not welfare. And now I struggled again. But, it's the same thing. You're put in this environment where you've got to perform quickly under pressure. And fortunately, I did. But look, I could sit there and complain about everything. And I could sit there and talk about, but ultimately, I'm so grateful for Boot Dreams.
Yeah.
I'm someone that looks back and I'm very grateful for all of the negative things that happened in my life and football. Because again, it made me to who I am today. And if you ask me, would I go for all of the experiences again? Would I? Absolutely yes. And would I make all the mistakes again? Absolutely yes.
Wow.
Because that made me who I am.
Yeah.
Man.
That's good.
And to obviously just top it off, all the gems that you've been dropping.
Yeah.
We like to ask this key question of at this moment in time, who are you beyond football?
Who am I beyond football? Someone that wants to transcend my story to create positive change for the next generation.
Powerful.
That's who I am.
Have you trademarked that one?
I need to start doing it.
If you don't, bro, I'm gonna take it, bro.
You gotta take it,
But I think that's just me in a nutshell. Yeah. If you ask me a sentence that I see the next 5 to 10 years of my life, or hopefully longer, it'll be transcending my story because I could deep dive into home life and acceptance and self-worth, and which ultimately all build you as a person.
You've definitely read a lot of psychology books, innit?
Do you know what? I tell you, I haven't.
No.
But do you know how I learned about psychology? Through life.
Through life,
through life.
That's good.
That's brilliant.
Through life.
Life's the best teacher, man.
Exactly.
So what's next for Zak?
So what's next for me is I'm educating myself in the coaching game. I'm now leaning on a lot of people I trust. Dan Harris example for good advice, and I want to push myself in. I aspire to work up through the leagues, and we've seen it happen. I'm building a business at the moment. I'm in schools doing a coaching company. I want to keep doing the things with the LFEs. Premier League. So again, my hands are everywhere, but all with the same mission, to inspire and create change.
That's brilliant.
That's great.
And we definitely align in terms of everything we're trying to do here on the Beyond Football podcast and the Beyond Football movement.
Yeah.
So
I just do want to say as well, and there's no long left, I openly apologise. I turned up late.
I've
got the time wrong. That's a fine.
See when the gaffer...
In the comments, what's the fine, man? We're gonna
no.
I thought it was...
You see when the gaffer is late to training, that's a serious issue.
I apologise for that. I thought I was
if the gaffer is late to training...
I apologise.
It's cool.
You made up for it though. It's a top pod still.
It's top.
It's top.
We'd like to just finish off with like a few quick fire questions. So I'll go with Wes. What's been the best book you've read that shaped your football journey and beyond?
So I love Tony Robbins. I don't know if you know about Tony Robbins, the motivational speaker. I read 2 books: Awaken a Giant Within, Unleash the Giant Within.
Powerful.
They correlate with each other. But that's a lot about kind of human development and why you are the way you are and how to get the best out of yourself.
That's a psychology book. I told you.
Yeah. To be fair, there's one book I read as well, Mark. And I'd advise any young professional footballer to read this book. Use your brain, raise your game.
Oh, I think I've seen that one.
I read that as an 18-year-old, and I was like, if I was an academy manager, my under 11s, that would be their homework. That's a very good book. Use your brain, raise your game. Mark, I speak to the guy on Instagram sometimes. Very good book.
That's good. That's good. Who's the most impactful footballer that you've played with beyond football? So not about on the pitch, about who they were off the pitch.
Do you know what? It's when I was in Sweden. So the players in Sweden they're humans. But for Sweden, you're judged on a human before a footballer, and they judged me on a person before a footballer, and they taught me that being a good person off the pitch can help you on the pitch. Because in England, if I think you're big, I'm going through you. I'm lifting you up in training. If I think you're arrogant or what, and I don't like in that time, I would lift you up in training. But in Sweden, there's none of that. We're here together. We're a camaraderie. We're a team. But in England, I thought you had to be that fighting mentality, and you have to be on a Friday kicking each other in 5-0s to perform on a Saturday. Sweden taught me, we're brothers. So I wouldn't really say a person, but let me say a country or a place or a time in life. It would definitely be Sweden.
That's good. That's top. Your best footballing moment?
Winning the league in Sweden was great because I come from a time where I'd just been released and I thought it was over. But why was that the best footballing moment? Because I thought I could stick my 2 fingers up at everyone that released me. That was what made me feel happy. Did I really enjoy the moment? Or was I more interested in putting a video on Instagram and thinking, blah, blah, blah. But that's growth. But of course, the international debut, like standing there with my arms around my teammates on the bench, unfortunately, but singing the national anthem and the camera's going across your face, and I'm thinking, right, is this really happening? Didn't even know the national anthem. I'm just there going, do you know what I mean? I know them ones. I know them ones still. I'm looking at my parents, my mum's there crying, like my dad's a proud man. He's like giving me the thumbs up. That's probably my best moment.
That's good. Do you think you're a product of nurture or nature?
Nurture or nature? See, I definitely believe I'm a product of my environment, but if I'm a product of my environment, I probably shouldn't be sitting where I am right now. So I believe I'm a product of my environment, but it's how you transcend that environment. Because why is there 2 people that grow up in a same environment, but one goes on to success and one goes on to failure? And if you look at product, nurture and nature, Oprah Winfrey, growing up, very bad environment, now one of the most powerful women in the world. And statistically, a lot of the most powerful people in the world come from bad environments. So I think it's definitely how you transcend that.
Definitely. And to finish off, if you were to do a job completely outside of football, what would it be? Mentoring
children.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, I'm definitely... You know that I always say this analogy, you know like Robin Hood? He stole from the rich to give to the poor. I want to be like the Robin Hood in mindset. I steal from the positive mindsets to give to the children that maybe don't have access to that mindset. That's what...
I hope you trademark that. He's going to take it.
That's what I wish.
He's going to take it, you know.
We need to collab, man. That's my heart there.
He's going to take it.
We need to collab.
My dream is that when I look in a child's eyes and I see fear and I see no sense of security, I want to give you everything you don't have because I never had that, and I had to go on my mission to find that. And I want to give you that through my knowledge. So I want to get Robin Hood tattooed on me.
Lit. No, it's been amazing. It's been amazing having you on, Zak. Thank you very much for coming on.
Top, I appreciate it.
But yeah, for sure. How can people connect with you?
So Instagram Zak Gurfy 7. Sorry, Instagram z.z Zak.G6, Twitter, ZakGurfy7, and yeah, that's my social media.
Yeah,
that's great.
Make sure to put that in. Yeah. So, guys, it's been the Beyond Football podcast. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, share it with people who you think is gonna this podcast gonna impact, and leave a review on Spotify. That's how we can get this message out to more and more people. So yeah, it's been the Beyond Football podcast. Till next time.
Thank you.